Hey, what's up, everyone? I am back for a Plunder Patrol deck profile for the post-Phantom Nightmare format. Just want to keep you guys up to date on how I'm playing this deck, what I think is a good way to go. I still don't know if the Adventure build or the Runic build is the better way, but in this video I'm going to show you my Adventure build just because I think there's a couple nice advantages that deck has in this particular format, especially with like SP Little Knight running around everywhere. It's kind of nice to just be able to summon a token and attack over, and then you can play afterwards. So that's kind of cool, and I think this deck is kind of nice into hand traps right now, where, you know, Droll isn't too bad against you. Like, you typically kind of split up your searches between your turn and your opponent's turn anyway, so Droll's not going to be so bad. You know, and then a lot of the other hand traps are not going to be so bad either. Plays around Super Poly pretty well since your attributes are all different, so that's nice as well. So there's kind of a lot of ways this deck really combats the meta trends and kind of has a decent option against it. And then, like, I want to be straight with you, like, this deck is not really going to compete with the mega fire decks coming out, the Snake Eye deck, the Fire King deck, and that kind of stuff, but there are a couple niche things that actually make this deck stand a little chance. Like, all of those fire decks, well, their attributes are set up for you. They're all going to have fire for Bran. Bran can pop the Fire King Island or clear the Fire King Island, so that's nice. They all go through Link Karibo at some point in their combo, so you can have a Mowerk access pretty early on. So you do have some kind of interesting things to think about when trying to deal with those fire decks. And then we also have the Labyrinth deck and the Vanadium deck to think about, and for those we're playing hand traps kind of geared towards dealing with those as best we can. Unfortunately, next format's going to be a Droll format, and Droll is terrible in Plunder because it affects both players, and because when you're under Droll, you can't activate Blackbeard. You can't activate your you can activate your ships, but you can't search after on resolution. So yeah, there's a few things you have to think about every format with Plunder, and kind of seeing how it interacts, how you expect it to interact with the meta trends. So let's go ahead and hop on into what this deck is going to look like for this format, and I'll just show you a main and extra. And if you're looking for something super new, you're not going to really find it because there's not really a whole lot that's been released to kind of help this deck out at all. So we're just going to go through with what we can and talk about it. So pretty standard Plunder lineup for an adventure build: 3 Whitebeard, 3 Black Eyes, 3 Golden Hair, 3 Bluebeard, and 2 Red. I do like almost maxing out on the names just because of how important it is for you to have the fodder in your hand, the ammo for your ships, and you're really just counting on this as your whole engine, and you don't really want to run out. So yeah, I think the 14 names is pretty good, pretty standard, and then 3 field spell and 1 booty on top of that, and that's all I'm playing for the Plunder names. No emblem this time, no fusion spell. I really don't like the fusion spell, so we're just going to stick with this for now. And yeah, it pretty much just keep rolling. If you guys want to know combos, by the way, or how to play the deck, I have a lot of content on how to play this deck in my Plunder Basics series, so go ahead and check that out on my channel. It's one of my most popular videos, is Plunder Basics Episode 1. Okay, so on to the Adventure package. Again, standard as it has been for a long time: 3 Enchantress, 2 Right, 1 Griffin, 1 Dracoback, 1 Fateful. Okay, so yeah. 3 Enchantress, 2 Right, because Enchantress can search right out of the graveyard as well. So even if you have gone through 2 Rights and 2 Enchantresses, your third one is not dead. You can just search one back from your grave. And if you draw a double, I'd much rather draw a double Enchantress than double Right, because Enchantress can also just be an extender if you already have access to a token. So yeah, just the standard reasons of why 3 and 2 is good. And then Griffin, we're going to do the best we can with the negate. Dracoback is nice, and Adventure, of course, is mandatory. And now on to the non-engine, which is essentially mostly hand traps. We're going to have, for this format, a lot of them: 3 Nib, 3 Imprim, 3 Ash, and 2 Bell. 2 Ghost Bell, and then I'm on 1 DD Crow just for fun. You can play 3 Bell, but I think 2 Bell and 1 Crow is nice. Crow is just like a little bit more niche, like option for whatever. I just wanted a little bit more variety in hand traps. I already talked about why we can't play Droll. That's why it's not in here. Bystials are kind of out these days. There's not a whole lot of dark decks at the top of the meta that you're expecting, but you can play Bystials in the side deck, and that'd be totally fine. And then other hand traps in the side, like Phantasme. I love Phantasme in this deck, but the risk of just running into Labyrinth and just losing immediately, or Labyrinth or Branded, or you know, like Sword Soul could link summon pretty consistently, but still, Phantasme in the side deck is going to be nice. Kaiju's in the side deck is going to be nice too, but anyway. Then the last 2 cards in the main. These are my favorite tech choices to play in Adventure Plunder, but it's Medora and Keldo. And the reason, first of all, why we're playing is because we have so many ways to discard them. We have all of the adventure stuff needs a discard to search. And then we have the Plunder Field spell, we have the Golden Hair, we have the Bluebeard. So we have so much stuff that needs to discard, but not very much stuff that we want to be discarding. So I like Medora and Keldo just because if we have a discard effect that we need to use, I would rather discard something that turns into an interruption. And in this format, these shufflers put in work, man. So we have like Tier Limit, they crush. The fire decks, they actually are very good against the shufflers. And then even the Labyrinth deck, like if you have a shuffler in there and they want to start recycling their stuff, like summon back the Sovitorbi, re-add the Kuklok or whatever, you can shuffle those back in and keep them like at a minimum level of cards, because that's where Lab really shines. It's just their grind. They can just keep up card advantage, but the shufflers really put that to a stop. So if you can actually manage to draw these and then discard them, you are in a great position for that game, and I think they are very strong options for you know, tech cards side engine to play. If you don't want to play them, cool, play 2 more hand traps, let it rip. Play 2 talents, play 2 droplets, whatever you want. I like them. So hey, post profile Chris here. I totally forgot to put Fenrir in this build, so you can cut 2 cards out of the 2 shufflers, DD Crow, and 1 Redbeard for 2 Fenrirs. Up to you which 2 you want to cut back in. That's my particular choice in the matter. And now we're going to move on to the extra deck. Extra deck is, again, fairly standard, or pretty much the same as what it was. So 3 Blackbeard is always necessary. 2 lists is basically always necessary because your Jord combo will get you into the first one, and then you might want a second one. So yeah, pretty standard. Moerk's your best guy, so you play 2 of it. In this particular format, I'm on 2 Bran because there's fire everywhere. Everyone's playing Ash, and then all the best decks are fire, and Bran is actually decent against them. You want to get rid of that Fire King Island, so we are going to play the Brans at 2, and then just 1 copy of Yord because it goes back to the extra anyway, so you can pretty much summon it as many times as you want. And then for the non-plunder stuff, 1 White Aura Whale. This is nice to just clear boards. It's a level 8 synchro that destroys all attack position monsters on summon and just does piercing damage against everything your opponent has in defense, so it's fantastic. And then we're going to play 1 copy of Psychic End Punisher. For that off chance we want to synchro Griffin and a level 4 tuner into Psychic End, we are going to just crush a lot of decks because this card is actually quite difficult to get rid of. So yeah, it crushes Rescue Ace, it crushes most decks, except you have to watch out for the Underworld Goddess. So yeah, it's a fun option. For the links, we're on 1 Almirage for the... There's a lot of combos actually that need Almirage, not just the 1 card Blackbeard with Golden Hair combo. There's also other stuff where if you link into Almirage, you can get a little bit more material on board. And then, of course, the mandatory for 2024 SP and Typhon. If you don't have these, or if you're trying to play Plunder on a budget, totally fine. Okay, so like these are not that necessary for the deck. What I would play instead is probably... you could play Bahamut Shark and Totally Awesome, first of all, but I would want some more like going second options. Like your turn 1 board is already pretty solid, and chances are you're not doing adventure stuff and Bahamut Toad. So yeah, I think you can replace these guys with stuff like Adamant Serpeda Risen Dragite, You could replace it with like even a Baron de Fleur if you're playing Bestials in the extra, because going second with or post side if you have Bestials in, just like opening up with that level 4 tuner plus a Bestial that you've summoned into these guys is going to be pretty nice. Oh my gosh, I just realized I forgot Fenrir's in this deck. You got to play Fenrir's. Where's my Fenrir's at, dude? Replace these for Fenrir, please. Okay, and then other things you could play are... what other level 8 synchros? Like, I don't know. Like, just play... You could play even a third list and a third Moark, and you're going to be probably fine if you need to replace these. But, you know, hey, I just showed you the budget build. Fenrir is for the non-budget build. Let's go. But, yeah, let me know what you guys think of this build. What are you doing with Plunder in the new format? Let me know in the comments below. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed it, and we will catch you guys in the next one. See ya.